Andy, thank you very much for coming to the Rio Convention's Pavilion TV studio on this swelteringly hot day in Rio. You've just been on a panel talking about, as I understand it, putting a value on land, on the seas, on the oceans, on the forest too. Can you explain a bit about how that could work? Because there are many people who are worried about putting a price on trees and other aspects of the world.
Sure. In lots of cases, the market does reflect well what the social values are of nature. But in many, many cases, they do not. So those things that we eat, those things that we consume in general, probably work pretty well in the marketplace. But some things that are really valuable don't. So water quality, cultural values, any number of things having to do with health or broader landscape sorts of impacts don't really make it into the market very well. And as a result, we try to use techniques in order to provide an equal playing field or a level playing field so that we can compare things when we have a choice to make. If there's no choice to make, we don't really have a lot to say.
And how do you think ultimately this will work? Will it be a case of working out how many natural resources different countries have? And clearly Brazil, where we are at the moment, has the vast Amazon basin. Is it a case of giving them money each year in order to preserve the Amazon basin, or are there different financial mechanisms that can be employed?
There are any number of different ways that one could go about it. The underlying sense, though, is that if a country or if or a community is providing values to global society, that those things can be compensated for in order to encourage better stewardship of the environment. So by better measuring the value of the environment to society in general, we can encourage stewardship.
I guess we already have a similar program in REDD+. How would you assess how REDD+, which is a program, I guess to say it simply, which protecting the forests and compensating people to protect those forests, how would you assess that program so far?
I think as an early program, it's done a great job. I think some of the things we have to think about going forward are getting beyond simply carbon and talking about landscapes, talking about habitat, talking about biodiversity more broadly, and noting under what circumstances we can make sure that we're compensating people for those things that help us more broadly in improve human well-being.
And how do politicians sell this to their constituents? How does a politician in, I don't know, in the UK, where I'm from, for example, explain to his constituents that they need to pay someone in the heart of the Amazonian jungle to look after a tree?
Well, if it has to do with carbon or water quality or something to this effect that actually has direct impact on those people, it's quite easy. If it's something that's maybe a bit more diffuse, say habitat for golden lion tamarins or something like that, we have to know whether or not there is actually a value being held by a member of the UK society that is having difficulty being transferred. That is, we need to provide a mechanism for those people to reflect their value of the golden lion tamarin in Mata Atlântica here in Brazil. We can do that with PES or with IPS, PES in this case, find ways to look at local economic development in a way that is environmentally friendly.
And a last question, you'll have to forgive it perhaps deliberately, facetiously, but what price a tree? How much should we charge for a tree?
It depends on what we're going to use it for or not use it for. All these values are relative to the choices that we need to make. What we're looking for are nature-based solutions for our global development problems.